Why, hello, and welcome to My Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. And we are a proud part of the Bar Cart Co-op with other great shows like Distillers Talk and Bourbon Turntable. And tonight, we are lucky enough to have Dave from Natural Spirits with us. Dave, thank you for stopping out.
Thank you for having me.
I forgot to do something, Mike. I got to let you do your thing before we get too far.
my thing.
You do your thing.
All right, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification to find out when new episodes are coming out. If you're watching us live on Monday night, please interact with the nice folks in the chat and ask some questions yourself. If you're watching this after the fact, please leave a comment down below on YouTube.
All right, and that's true. And thank you everyone in the chat for being here bright and early. We always appreciate you guys for being there. But I'm going to turn it back around to our guest, Dave, from hit another button, Natural Spirits, and that is a lovely brand. Mike and I have said several wonderful things about this Cantaloupe Liqueur, about refreshing your palate after being completely blown for a day, and it has happened several occasions since. It is absolutely fantastic. So people in the group are a little familiar with you. And at least one or two of the things you're doing. But thank you very much for being here, Dave. We really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity, guys.
So, starting with liqueurs and stuff, how did you get down that path? What was like an inspirational moment to want you to start creating kind of the style you guys went in?
Sure. Well, I was late 2009 and 2010. I was full into big barrel aged beers, and I was beer trading and trying to seek out the whales and whatnot, and was pretty into that. And I started thinking, we've got, before we ended up, my wife and I, before we had kids, we decided to try to take a couple of awesome trips, and one of them we took was to Italy. And I ended up spending a lot of time kind of shifting away from beer into aperitives and digestivos. I thought it was fascinating in the Italian culture how you go over and you start out your meal with a little aperitif and have a couple glasses of wine and then finish it with the digestivo. It seemed like an excuse to have a lot of drinks with one meal, but it was a great experience, and I really dug the digestivos and the aperitifs. And my wife and I, we were traveling to Capri, and right off of the boat from Naples, there's this guy in a little wood stand, and he's got limoncello and meloncello, which we had seen quite a bit of previously in the past few days, but then he had some cream versions of both of those. So he had crema di limoncello and crema di meloncello, and we went with a bottle of this crema di meloncello and started our day off with that on the beach, and it was just fantastic. Just started a wonderful day, and that was a big part of it, but also the juice itself was just something else. It tasted like just the best rum mixed with just bright, fresh, ripe cantaloupe. And I thought, well, when I get back, I'm gonna get a few bottles of this. This is really nice stuff. And you just can't. You can't find it. I searched really hard, and I couldn't find it. And so, I have a little bit of an OCD in my personality, so I decided, what? One of my life goals is to figure out how to make Cantaloupe Cream Liqueur. I'm gonna do that at some point, figure out how to make something that's decent. And so I just started working on it. I was doing a lot of infusions just for fun, and taking different floral elements and different spices and mixing them together. And this was so kind of up that alley. I started just by infusing some raw cantaloupe. And what I ended up doing then was mixing it with cream and with rum, and trying to, starting to work my way towards duplicating that product that I had so enjoyed. And I quickly found out that the shelf life of what I was making was like 3 days. If you didn't have it in the fridge, it was even less than that. Cantaloupe juice goes from orange to brown in about, I don't know, it takes a matter of hours. So it oxidizes and it looks super gross, and it still tastes okay, but it just looks terrible. And so I thought, okay, fresh cantaloupe juice, not the answer. So I started looking into natural flavors, and I was fortunate enough to have the help of from a chemist, actually my grandfather, and he kind of dug this idea and kind of went all in on it too, and helped me try to figure out a way to stabilize the flavors and how to to make it have a decent shelf life. And so when I did find eventually a great natural cantaloupe flavor, he then worked with me to help me figure out the best path to turn that into a product that would have some shelf life. And so that was about maybe 4 years later. I think it took about 4 years of on and off working at it to get something that was really good. And at that point, I started kind of sharing it with with friends and family just for fun. And I work in Madison full time in operations, and I work near the old Yahara Bay distillery, the one over on Nesbitt Road, which I'm sorry, on Nesbitt Road they're at now, but they were over off of Stewart Street, which is where I'm at, and it's maybe just a stone's throw away, like a block. And they had a get to know your neighbors party, and so it's bring something to share with the group. And I thought, why not Cantaloupe Cream Liqueur? So I brought it. And it was a huge hit, and which was kind of, not to toot my own horn, but it had gone over really well at a lot of other gatherings, and I was kind of glad to see that this had happened again. And Nick and Lars over at Yahara Bay at the time, it was Lars that was the head distiller, they really loved it. Nick pulled me aside and he said, look, I think you got something here. If you wanted to try to put this into bottles, we'd be willing to try to work with you on it as a contract client. And I didn't really know what that was at the time, but I thought, you know what, that'd be awesome. I would love to see this in bottles. And so
like everyone, hell yeah,
yes,
I would.
Yes. And so the hobby took a little step forward, and I decided, I'm going to try to just for fun, just try to gear this up and try to get this into bottles through Yahara Bay. And they helped me every step of the way, every little detail that you could think of. They helped me figure out how to address it, and got me finally to the point where we were in bottles. And I could remember I went to I found a distributor, actually found a couple that were willing to carry the product, and I ended up going to Beechwood, and I went to their trade show. And I can remember I went out, I didn't have bottles yet, I didn't have labels yet. So I went out with a growler, several growlers of Cantaloupe Cream Liqueur. I had a condiment pump on the top of it to dispense it. And I got a lot of weird looks. A lot of people are like, oh man, I feel sorry for this guy, what's he getting into? And by the end of the trade show though, I had several people come over to me and say, you know what, this is like the best thing I've tried at this trade show, and you really got something here. And I thought, geez, this is awesome. And so we started in 2017 with just the Cantaloupe Cream Liqueur through Yahara Bay. And then it was almost a year before we decided we'd try to create some other flavors, and try to branch out a little bit. And so then we ended up trying to think of something that would kind of be a similar product to Bailey's. That's where we came up with our maple bourbon barrel coffee cream liqueur. And we did mango on the tropical side, found a nice mango cream liqueur to make as well. And then we did gingerbread as a seasonal. And
that is really, man, Christmas, that's another Christmas one. Like for me, this
Yes.
It's summer and refreshing all the time. Like you have that. That's one of
Thank you.
those, like, you can line it up on the wall of Christmas with spirits that you can have there. Like people
Thank
are coming
you.
like, here, you can have whatever. You're gonna be happy.
Yes. Christmas in a glass. So yeah, and all the products, one of our big things, natural spirits, all of our products are naturally flavored. So we found a way to use all natural flavors without compromising the shelf life. We've got at least 12 months you can be at room temperature. I've got bottles of the first batch of Cantaloupe that still taste great, that are 5 years old now, and really all that happens after they sit for a long time is they lose some of the flavor intensity. But they don't curdle, they don't go sour, and so we've got it figured out. And so then we applied that same technique and the same knowledge to some other flavors, and added the maple bourbon coffee and the gingerbread and the mango, and And I think around end of 2019, then we decided to do a gin. So we're doing a botanical focused honey gin as well now, which is got raw honey in it from Gentle Breeze in Wisconsin. And those guys were awesome, actually. First time I went out there, Eugene said, hey, do you think your customers would be interested in kind of seeing where the honey came from and knowing a little bit of the story? And he's like, why don't you throw on a suit and we'll come out and check out the hives? And they took me out there, and really neat people. And so that's where I get the honey from. And the gin, I'm not a huge fan of juniper myself. I like it, but it's not my thing. So what I did was I created a really a juniper subdued gin, which is botanical focused, more floral. You might find maybe a third of the juniper you'd see in like a London Dry. So what you're going to see is a lot of real nice floral notes coming through, which are accentuated by the honey, which does two things. It helps soften the finish, and then it really helps some of those floral notes pop. And so then we did that 2019, and then early 2020 we thought, let's try to do something that's kind of quintessentially Wisconsin, and we came up with our old-fashioned cream liqueur, which is a cream version of an old-fashioned, and that's the only product that I don't really have mixed drink ideas for. It's meant to be a standalone. That one you'll throw in a glass with ice, or you'll do ice cream. We have a few people that are using it in a slushy machine, which is incredible. And you'll do like frozen old fashioned. So you'll little frozen old fashioned, garnish it with a cherry and with an orange, and you're good to go. So we've got that, and then we've also been working on some bulk products that are only available through Spirits and Spice and through Vom Fass, and those are outlets that are located throughout the United States. So we do 9 products for them, and then we've got 5, 6 in bottles now as well. So it's turned into a lot more than just a hobby. And during all this fun COVID stuff, we couldn't go in and do production at Yahara Bay. So I had to, and that was very tough for me. I've always made every batch myself, been involved, in every step of the process, and so to turn that over was very difficult. And even though they're great over at Yahara Bay, it was every time I had to not be there making the products was painful. So eventually, my brother and I,
because all of a sudden you're like, I trust you, but at the same time, if something goes wrong, I can blame me, and it's all on me, and I can't look at any. It's just a whole different feeling that goes into that. So yeah, I get it.
Absolutely. So it's a bit of a control thing. So anyway, it's the way that ended up playing out is that my brother and I decided, well, why don't we? This is a good time to try to figure out, does it make sense to do this on our own? And so I kind of felt that out with him and with the Yahara Bay, and actually they were all for it. They said, there's anything we can do to help, let us know. And I'll tell you, I don't think I wouldn't have been making the product to begin with if it wasn't for them, and B, going into my own space, they were extremely helpful in helping me in so many ways. And the relationship we've got with those guys is one that I think will stand as long as I'm in operation. We'll be doing something with them in some capacity, and so they helped me not only get started, but also to kind of walk me through what it took to get into our own space. So we're in May of this year. We just opened up our space at a distillery in Sun Prairie. We're on Progress Way, and not open to the public currently. We're just kind of working on switching over all our production as it stands. But we'll get people out there eventually and have some tasting and some food carts and things like that, and a place you can go and buy shirts and bottles and so on. But for now, we're just kind of working on getting our production moved over. It's been going really well so far. We finished our first batch out of our new spot first part of June, and
nice.
Everything is going really well. Yeah,
it's nice to hear that transition go well with stuff. Before we get
it took forever. Took almost an extra year than I had planned, but I had the time. It was. I've been fortunate enough to have a really flexible full-time job, so I've been able to kind of chip away at it nights and weekends, and so yeah, eventually after a year and a half of working at that, we opened our own space up.
Nice. Now, before I get too far away in the chat, John was wondering, is it the old fashioned? Is it a brandy old fashioned or a bourbon?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna get in trouble for this one. Wisconsin based drink here, but it's bourbon. It's not brandy. It's bourbon old fashioned.
That's fair. I was gonna. I liked it that way. So, and I think it adds a little more character in the liqueur side of it. With that, it's a little more of an edge.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, so we are we're all throughout Wisconsin currently. Beach was our distributor, and I see a question down along about where to buy it. I'll list on my website, but I'll tell you this: Beachwood is huge. They're everywhere in Wisconsin, and if you go into your liquor store and tell them that you look for a bottle of natural spirits products, they'll help you look at it for that. So Beachwood's been great in that regard as well.
So I got a question. Go back with you getting started making all your liqueurs. Is there an elusive one that you can't seem that either you can't make or you can't seem to make?
There's been a lot of them that I haven't been able to get figured out, and a big part of it is because I'm using cream, and the natural flavors. So natural flavors that are really acidic, there's things I can do to the flavor that'll sometimes allow it to not shock the cream, but oftentimes it's just too acidic, and I mix them, and you end up with cream ice cubes. Just gross.
That was gonna be one of mine. Like, is there one that as you were doing this that you went into is high hopes and that, like, as you started, you're like, no, this is not the path.
Yes, I've tried numerous different possibilities. Some of the really wild ones, some that you kind of would expect, but it's just funny what things will work and what won't. It just all is based off of the acidity of the flavor and how much you can adjust it. And it's hit or miss. Honestly, it's just a lot of experimentation and a lot of different. We've got a couple different processes we can use that we've figured out over time that allow us to mix flavors that otherwise might be too acidic. But even with those processes, you can't get everything to work. I could probably figure it out if I used an artificial flavor, but that's pretty much something I'm not willing to do. So
yeah,
kind of stuck on the whole natural flavor thing for whatever, good or bad.
I think it's good. You could tell. Wow, he's jumping.
I'm jumping.
No, you're good. No,
do you have any issues getting yours because I'm assuming you make stuff on a small scale on your own before getting larger scale?
Yes, that's true. That's always been interesting too. Is how do I take it from a gallon batch up to 100 or 200 gallon batch? And it's always makes me a little nervous to do that for the first time. But having 15 products we make now, I've kind of got it nailed down. But yeah, early on there were some times where I wanted to do a really tiny batch, and Yahara Bays were like, well, we should start out with 100 gallons. It's like, well, I've only done a gallon of this before. Are you sure you want to do that? And actually, so far, it's never backfired, but it's made me nervous. There's been a few times where I've thought, this is really risky, because the flavors I use, some of them are in the, it's $600 a gallon. There's a cheesecake flavor that's like $700 for a gallon of it. It's like, what are you guys doing? Like infusing the fanciest cheesecakes from New York into this ethyl alcohol or something to make this flavor? I don't get it, but it's crazy. But yeah, you don't want to have a misfire, basically, though, if you can at all avoid it. Yeah.
Sorry.
So with you figuring out how to get the flavoring the way that you want it, have you been able to push any of that knowledge forward into either someplace else or a supplier to let them know, hey, we've been able to do this and make this work?
Yeah, I've actually ended up kind of taking the understanding that I've got this figured out and run with it. We've got some contract clients, some of which have approached us just organically, and some of which have approached us through Yahara Bay. and I've kind of gotten a reputation over there for being like the cream liqueur guy, and so yeah, I get these kind of fun opportunities to make unique products, and we've come up with some things for other companies that that they'd worked on in the past and weren't able to nail down. Like, for example, I'm making 4 products right now for Peanut Butter and Jelly Deli out of West Dallas, and they've got a State Street store as well in Madison. I'm doing his peanut butter cream liqueur and his blackberry and his dark chocolate banana peanut butter, and then his cherry amaretto as well. So those are all pretty cool.
Sorry, we've during the show we'll give Fat Boy tasting notes, and that just almost blew my mind with all.
Just say it. Yeah.
I don't even have to say anything.
Yeah, I was just imagining the first big scene inside of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Just like,
yeah, that's it.
It's all drinkable, folks.
One of us is getting kicked out for drinking out of the still. What is this? What is this?
But the products have all been really well received. We always like to try to enter them into some of the spirits competitions. We usually get the San Francisco International and the Los Angeles competition as well. We've done New York and we've done SIP, which is another international competition. And I'm blessed to say that we've entered a product that's taken less than a silver. So we've got a handful of silvers and a few golds, including a couple of platinums, a best in show, and an innovative product award for our Dreamsicle cream liqueur that we make for Spirits and Spice. Mm-hmm. So they've been really well received, and it's been very encouraging, and with all that encouragement, it was a big part of kind of the push towards, maybe I don't have to be in operations for the rest of my career. So we're seeing how that plays out right now, and my brother and I both work full time, in other industries, and so we're kind of starting to have the discussions about, who's going to be the first one to quit their full time job. So it's a pretty cool spot to be in, and I never expected it to go to this point. I always just thought it'd be kind of a fun thing, and I never wanted to take any money out, and so that's been fortunate too, because any profits that we've made have all just been stuck back into the company, which over years led us to the point where we had a little bit to kind of help with this move forward. So it worked out pretty great in that regard, I would say.
Very nice.
So what type of size still did you guys go with?
So we're blenders. I'm a rectifier. So I'm a distillery, but it's a rectifier, and what that means is that everything I make is blended. So even my gin is a blend, and it's not a distilled product. So the way I do that is I have you have infusions, kind of like I used to do 12 years ago, of each different botanical, and you take those infusions and you mix them together in a certain ratio, and you come up with a gin. And that's really all gin is just different ratios of different botanicals, and whether you get them through a botanical basket in a distillery, in a still, or if they've already got those flavor components in them, and you just kind of over time figure out the way to make that blend into the most flavorful gin. It's pretty much the same finished product, just a different process. And then in terms of the cream liqueurs, those are all just natural flavors, cream based with Puerto Rican rum and a few other ingredients, and I just mix them. Everything is mixed. So
and the way you're doing the gin is very similar to the way like Todd Leopold and a couple other people do it, where you're taking each section and bringing it together yourself rather than doing it as one. And I think I like the control that whoever seems to do that, the control of where you put things if you don't want as much fennel or
you can really nitpick. You can really nitpick the flavor profile, which I loved in the creation process.
Yeah.
And I do too. I don't like anise as much, so I love when people can kind of take that out.
Right. Yeah, I can skip that one. Yeah.
Everyone has their biases.
They do, and there are some people that just love juniper, and I'll say most of them don't hate my gin, but it's definitely not a juniper bomb. It's not a London Dry. So I kind of found that gins will either fall into a juniper heavy, botanical heavy, or citrus heavy. focus, and mine is definitely on the botanical side, followed by citrus, with juniper in the back seat. So if you're looking for a junipery gin, this isn't it. But if you're looking for something that tastes incredible with citrus, with a sparkling drink, that this is it. It's the floral notes, if you don't overpower it, come through really nicely, and you get a pretty amazing finish from the honey. And the botanical notes, again, just really pop with the honey in the background. So it's been fun. We do a great bee's knees and, a Tom Collins gin Ricky. Yes, that is the...
I was trying to get it because when you see the natural honey, and I'm having a hard time. Let's see if I can get it in here. It's hard to see because it forms at the bottom, and you can actually get it to swirl when you just do a little twist. And I know there's some of I think it's wine or something else that it's all sparkly and shit on the inside. This is way better looking to watch than that. I was gonna say, but you get that same enchantment of like, ooh, everything's spinning around. You're like,
yes,
I'm supposed to drink it. Hold on, let me get back to the bottle. I'm gonna tell you that's a way better version.
Thank you. That's my barrel aged. We haven't put it out yet. I sent you a bottle just to kind of preview. It is a 3 months age in a very heavy char barrel. It's an alligator char, so the heaviest char possible. And I did that to try to extract some of those notes from the heavy char, the caramels and the butterscotch notes, and the barrel flavor. I think really comes out nicely. And it's a short rest, so it is only a 3 month time that it spends in that barrel. And we do have, on the new labels, we used to stick these shake well stickers, but now we've got the little bee on there telling you to shake it well, which I think is much better. And this product is something you could use, I really like it just by itself on the rocks, and I like it in a cocktail that you typically use a whiskey or a bourbon in. So it kind of, to me, I think it holds up, but it also is still a gin. It still has some of the botanical notes that are there, but are kind of a little more buried, in this type of product. But I really enjoy it.
Just the edge of the juniper on the backside, the honey and the citrus notes really play well on the top end. Yeah, it's bright, but the honey kind of softens everything around it. It's a really neat one. And
thank you.
When we went to Distill America, which is why I encourage everyone to go to shows and more importantly shows like that. You had 2 or 3 versions of this there, didn't you?
I did. I had that one being actually the lowest portion of barrel blend. I had 2 that were higher. I had a 66 and a 75%. And the 50-50 was the one that kind of won most people over.
It's right on. You're thinking like honey barrel bourbon, but then the juniper and the floral notes kind of torque it at the end, just to like pull it back, and the honey soften over the top. It's really dangerous by itself.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
But like Renita said, I think a bee's knees would also be an excellent drink for this.
I would agree.
Mike and I will be doing a review in a couple days. We'll post that of this and the Cantaloupe one on its own. But yeah,
I look forward to it.
Yeah, I don't think we need to review the Cantaloupe one because
we're gonna do it anyway.
Because I know, but we had it at which Pat's probably told you, and I know we've said it repeatedly on the show, but it was Distill America 2020, and it was like the end of the night. We'd already gotten our second or third wind at that point, and everyone was back on, and all of a sudden he runs into me and he's like, "Hey, have you had the Cantaloupe Liqueur?" It's like, "No, let's go." So we hurry up and go over there, and I can hand to God, I can still get the sensation that I got from drinking that, about what that did, because it was just like it just took everything over, and it was like, "Oh my God, I have fourth wind or fifth wind, whatever it is now."
It did. We went back twice. It worked twice for sure. I was like,
I remember.
Go check this thing out.
I remember you guys. That was awesome. I really appreciate the praise, and it was great to see you guys enjoying it.
Yeah, I never ever, if somebody said, "Here, have a Cantaloupe Liqueur," no.
Right.
But
I hear you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, after trying it, it's like, okay, I'm sold. We're 100% in.
Oh, I appreciate it.
I think especially like the natural flavors you're going through are what pulls the liqueurs forward from some other ones I've had, because you get some of that, even like a lemon and some of the other notes. You get a little bit of that fake stuff, like in the cantaloupe.
Yes.
You get a little bit of that rind note in it, but it tastes like you just bit just right into the green part, just a bit, and then kind of pulled out. And I was but it doesn't taste fake. It doesn't taste chemically at all in any way, shape, or form. It just tastes clean in that aspect.
That's the beauty of those natural flavors. I mean, I haven't found one yet that people say, "Oh, that tastes off." I mean, they all taste true to their form, what they should taste like. So it's just a matter of whether they can work with cream or not, and then the ratios. So it's been a lot of fun to figure that out.
Do you guys do any of them that aren't cream? That you guys have been started and you're like, we like this one the way it is, or are those maybe kind of filtered out to contracty things as options?
So in terms of products that aren't cream, I've got a watermelon vodka that I'm working on for peanut butter and jelly deli, and I've got a cold weather a cold weather hot toddy bourbon. So it's a bourbon with honey and lemon and cinnamon basically. And you could pretty much drink it as it is, or you could just throw some hot water in there and you'd have a hot toddy. Damn. So that'll be fairly soon. I'm working with some people that do alcoholic ice cream, which I guess is still technically a cream-based product, but that'll be kind of fun.
Okay, now that just gets me into a whole different world of the flavored ice cream with your flavored liqueur, and the mix that you do with that could be crazy.
Yeah, these people are pretty neat. They one of them, her graduate project was how to stabilize alcohol in ice cream, and so she created this process as part of her graduate project, and then met with someone who is just an amazing marketer, and so the two of them together now have this company, and they're looking to find a place to make their products at, and that was another nice referral from Yahara Bay. They pretty much have let me run with all the cream-based products, so anything that's cream is pretty much on me, and so ice cream, I guess, fell into that category as well, and so they shuffled that one off to me as in addition. So
wow, yeah, that sounds insane. And the best thing about this is all the people you're talking about in these fields are doing unique stuff to get there. You know, like like you mentioned her, like that's really like conceptually, I'm sure people have came up with it, but it was like, no, I'm going to write my thesis on this, and you're like, I don't think they're going to take it. I don't think they're going to take that thesis.
Right.
Then it works out, and I was like, damn it, can I invest?
Yeah, right, exactly. That's it.
Well, like you mentioned the slushies, and we've got a friend who works at a winery in Indiana that they have, along with their wines, massive amounts of slushy machines that they literally serve stuff in looks like a Capri Sun pouch, and people will take them out on the lake and stuff. But yeah, I'm just imagining all of these flavors and slushies.
Absolutely.
That would be, oh my gosh,
it's dangerous.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, they are.
So, with you making the cream liqueurs, what do you think's lacking for liqueurs in the U.S. market? Because you talked about how you got inspired over in Italy.
Unique flavors are here. I mean, we see lots of interesting flavors, but what I think is really lacking are companies that'll do them naturally. I mean, I can't find another cream liqueur manufacturer that uses natural flavors, so that's kind of a unique niche for us. Even your mainstreams like your Baileys and your rum chatas are artificially flavored, and so a lot of times I'll hear that a lot of people will really like the cream liqueurs that we make because they don't finish with a weird aftertaste, and I think a lot of that is because of the natural flavors. So Baileys, every time we go up against them in a competition, we end up winning. Our products score better than Baileys. They just have a hell of a lot better marketing team than we do. So
it's bigger. I don't know about better. They have
that's true. That's true. They're beating the bushes, but yeah, they've But it's we do well when people can taste the product and taste them against others and kind of realize it's like, well, wait a minute, this is kind of what I don't like about cream liqueurs is how they finish. It kind of tastes bitter or just chemically, and we don't have that with ours. They drop off really cleanly and kind of linger in a pleasant way. And so, that said, not everybody wants a 12-ounce glass of cream liqueur. So we do realize that we've got some other products that we need to make to kind of open up our potential for marketability. And that's where we've got the gin and the watermelon vodka and the hot weather, the cold weather hot toddy and things like that. But we're also actually looking at seltzers, and I shouldn't say seltzers, I should say RTDs. The alcohol component would be our honey gin.
Okay.
So it'd be a honey gin RTD, and we've got a lot of different flavors that, as I mentioned earlier, just don't work with cream, but they're incredible. And so we've taken some of those flavors and we're playing with them in the the honey gin carbonated beverage arena. So that's something that we're working on right now, and again, just need to get our production switched over at our new facility before we go too deep into that. But that shows a lot of promise. We've got flavors that are complementary to gin, such as like a Negroni based gin RTD and raspberry lime and watermelon basil, which is great with gin flavors. So yeah, they're winners, but they going to require a little bit of work to kind of get into the cans, because we don't really want to invest right away in a canning line. So we're looking at a mobile canner to come in, which I think is a great way. A lot of places in Madison are using these same guys, and they show up with their equipment. You just provide them with water and labor, and you're off to the races. So.
Well, it's a good way to, like you said, the investment into a bottling line can be quite steep, especially at the beginning.
Yes.
So that's a great way to kind of negate that, or at least get your products into your store, if not everyone else.
Absolutely. Test the waters, and yeah.
That's excellent.
I got Spencer had a good question here.
There you go.
How are you defining natural flavors?
They are made from whatever it says it is. It's an infusion. It's an infusion high alcohol flavor. So if I get a cantaloupe flavor, it's made from it's 80% alcohol, and it's stabilized, and that the process that they use has not been fully explained to me, nor do I think they will. But
I was gonna say I didn't ask because I don't feel like you're gonna tell me whatever that secret is. Just like the whole ice cream thing, I don't think I get to know.
But and in this case, I don't know. But I'll tell you that these flavors are all TTB approved as natural, and so I'll see some of the components that are in there, and I don't know what their process is, but it's a huge company. They have a ton of chemists, and they are masters at making stable, natural flavors, and all of them are alcoholic. So my strong suspicion is that it's an infusion process, perhaps with some other chemical processes going on in the background as well. But yeah, for sure they are just all natural flavors, which they have to be. You can use, I think, a very small portion of artificial flavor and still have it considered natural, and they might use those as like a note to like a finishing note. Mm-hmm. But it has to be under with a certain percentage of parts per million, and so all of these flavors are within that threshold to be considered natural by, the all-knowing folks at the government of the TTB. So,
all-knowing and wonderful. You have to add that as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So, what do you drink when you're not drinking the liqueurs?
I still am really into apertivos and digestivos right now. I've got a Campari Spritz. I like Campari. I like Italicus. I like pretty much any Amaro. Really, I like kind of light herbal products. I ran into one actually in Italy. That interesting story. It would have been the first one before Cantaloupe, and that was called Rucolino. So it's an arugula-based digestivo. So it's arugula and cinnamon and lemon and clove and other various spices, and I actually make that as well, and it's delicious, I will say.
I was gonna say it sounds like just a whole bunch of flavor, like a flavor bomb heading in there.
it's something else. But that one is because I'm using leaves, like arugula leaves, to make the infusion.
Mm-hmm.
That one's been really tricky. I haven't been able to get that one's shelf life past about a month and a half, 2 months at room temperature. If you store it in the freezer, it's good indefinitely. But with the leaf matter in there, it doesn't have the shelf life. So I'm working right now actually to try to. It's really nichey. It's even more so than the cream liqueurs. But I am working on that one yet, here and there. And the process that I've landed on that I think is going to be the way to get that to go is actually a blanching to get the flavor to not fall apart after a couple of months. So what I end up after 2 months is like a cinnamon vanilla bomb. You can't even really taste the arugula anymore, which needs to be and is the star for the first month and a half, and then just something weird happens and it just drops off pretty quickly. So
that's just a neat. That flavoring is neat. See, like that's way different than other things, and that's so. I see that as being something. If you guys, once you have a bar or something to stop into, that's something in a cocktail, because that is
we will have it.
So
we will have it as an in-house product, absolutely.
Yeah,
so at some point at Natural Spirits, you'll be able to come in and try some arugula-based digestivo, and so they called it rucolino, which is rocket is the word for arugula in Italy, and so I Americanized it, and so I called it arugolino. So arugolino is a product that you'll see at Yahara at Natural Spirits down the road here at our facility, in-house, but not in bottles, most likely.
Oh, that's fair. That's understandably so. But I mean, just the chance to have it or use that in a cocktail, I think has just
absolutely. And I did go as far as to create 10 cocktails for it, just like we did with every other product that we make, except for the old-fashioned cream liqueur, which was a lot of fun. A lot of fun R&D went into those drink sheets, and it's helpful with the cantaloupe, because a lot of times too, people they'll love it, but they'll say, "What do I do with this?" And I say, well, first of all, it's meant to be a standalone. It's traditionally served 2 or 3 ounces after a meal, chilled, and that's it. But here's a list of cocktails that you can make with it, and some of these are actually really damn good. And so that was.
And I have one of the sheets. I stole it.
Oh yes.
I kept one of these.
Excellent.
And one for the barrel bourbon coffee one. Mm-hmm. But the smoky melon, you put Connemara, any type of peated whiskey or smoky.
Yeah, it's really heavy peat. Yeah.
Slide that in there. That just adding like an extra twist to it, I thought is neat. The winter staycation, where you're adding Godiva chocolate and creme de la coco. You're just layering. Sorry, once again, you're going back to like such like kind of Christmassy. My grandma always used to get the box of chocolates for everybody, and somebody got the variety pack. Some,
Right.
Some just got the chocolate ones. When I read that, that's boom. That's where my head went. I was like, the chocolate. That's exactly where I went. Side note: my brother did play a joke on my sister, who always got chocolates. We switched out the box and gave her all coconut, and she freaked out when they're checking everyone else's boxes. Like, did you get them? Yeah. Someone gave me. I was like, no. So yeah, got a little trouble.
I'm assuming she hates coconut then.
Oh yeah, no one in the family liked it. I was like, well, I'm not going to help you eat that either. That's all you.
That's excellent.
But just the where you guys went, like the nutty melon, you guys were kind of all over the place, kind of pulling that one in different directions. But really kind of keeping your liquor the center point of it.
Yes,
so I
it was
like
fun.
How you guys were approaching your drink sheets that you guys have.
I tried what I thought was, kind of traditional ideas at first, and some of those worked. But then we thought, to come up with 10, we're going to have to go a little more creative here. So we tried some really weird stuff, and actually, it's amazing how well. Like, for example, you mentioned the Connemara mixing really well, and it's delicious. And you wouldn't think such a heavily peated product would do so well with cantaloupe, but it's amazing. It works great. So it's just, you just got to try it and just see. And that was the fun of it was, let's get these 100 different bottles together everybody come up with 5 different cocktails and come back and see what you did. You know, let's try them all.
Dave's Friday or Saturday weekend. Like, everyone come over and we'll see what happens. Those are the best R&D weekends. Someone, someone comes up with 2 or 3 decent ones throughout it, and some people you're looking like, oh, you're not allowed to mix drinks anymore. You're not allowed. You can come over.
I will say you started losing and gaining confidence in certain people depending on the results. It's like, are you sure? That's definitely not going to work. You can tell this by smelling it, looking at it. It's just no.
First person's like, it may taste good, but like it does not look. It doesn't look right.
Yeah.
We can't market this.
Yeah, and we got a couple like that too. They were slightly curdle, and it's like, you can't have a slightly curdled drink. I'm sorry, it's just not going to work. It's just gross.
No, I agree.
So
it's like that. You don't want a cement mixer that first time someone.
Right.
But no.
So for people that are watching or listening to this later, you'd mentioned a place to get to buy your stuff online. You said Spirits and Spice was one of them.
Yeah. Yes, Spirits and Spice. You can see if you go to their website and pull up their cream liqueurs. I make 10 out of maybe 12 or 13 that are on that list there. So almost every cream liqueur there I make. And there's a multitude of products there. You've got a dark chocolate coconut, which is kind of like a Mounds bar in a glass. You've got Cafe Melange, which is a coffee chocolate liqueur with orange and cinnamon. There's a melon flavor it's a mix of honeydew and cantaloupe. Got a Bananas Foster. We got a mango pineapple. A latte macchiato, which is amazing. It's a vanilla coffee flavor with cold brew coffee, Jamaican cold brew coffee, Jamaican blue. There is a s'mores flavor for around the campfire. We've got a dreamsicle, which is like kind of just an orange vanilla. We do pumpkin spice latte as a seasonal there. A ginger snap, which is a more cinnamony version of our gingerbread cream liqueur.
Okay.
And so those products, you can actually taste them for free at any of their locations. They've got one in Water Tower Place in Chicago. They've got a place at the Venetian in Las Vegas. They've got one in Sedona, and 2 or 3 others as well. And then Spirits and Spice spun off from Vom Fass. So Vom Fass is a German-based company, and there's about another 25 of those throughout the U.S., and they've got our stuff as well. They're all, there's one in Madison, actually. There's one in Madison University, I believe.
Okay, that's cool. It's always good to be able to get stuff online, or when you're not at home, or being able to find a place that's extra. So we're glad that you have that avenue, and it's starting to kind of open up, just because without that, you're kind of landlocked.
You are, yeah, and that's kind of the thing with our bottled products, is we are still kind of trying to, to own our own backyard, as it were. There's still a lot of room for progress in Wisconsin, and especially with this being still part-time versus full-time, it's better for me to try to focus on the state for now, and in terms of the bottled products. But we'll get there. We'll eventually start looking for other states, but you need boots on the ground. You need a very, very, very good distributor, or you need to hire people to do tastings, especially with products like I've got. It's people need to try them, start to kind of familiarize themselves with them. If someone walks into the liquor store and sees a bottle of Cantaloupe Cream Liqueur on the shelf, it's I don't know about that. Even with the drink sheets there, people wonder. But once they try it, it's like, oh my God, this is incredible. But it's getting that first taste into their mouth. That's the important part, and so that's what we kind of want to focus on if we go into other states, making sure we can do that and not just have a bunch of bottles sell initially and then just sit there.
Well, I think that's it. Is being behind a barrel that's there at a place like that. When someone gets to come in, you get to try it, and it's whatever. I'll try it, and all of a sudden it's snap. Right. Like, that'll be the thing that creates the impact, and that's usually why you do those tastings. It's like, something I have here, I feel good enough about one of the 3 or 4 things I have here that you're gonna buy a bottle. I'm gonna see that head snap, and you're gonna remember it. That's what you want to have.
That's it. That's what you're hoping for.
And there's not enough places that actually kind of let you do that. I wish more
that's true.
establishments would have, like, say, a Friday or a Saturday night tasting where, say, you would come out and it's $10 and then you get a little flight of some stuff that you're trying, and you could, do something like that. I wish there'd be more in-depth tastings like that where you could expose people. So
Absolutely.
Or an ice cream social.
There it is. That's it, man.
Where you'd be a hit as well too.
Yes, absolutely. We can work in that arena. Yep.
Excuse me. Sorry, I was choking on something there. But we're coming up on an hour, and we usually don't like to keep people too long on Monday nights because we know we're cutting into your personal life, and we do appreciate you taking time out of that to come on the show with us. What are some of the things that you're excited about coming out of the distillery, or just kind of is there anyone else creating something in your division that you think is unique as well too? Obviously the all natural stuff and like we said, flavors and everything come through. We think is there someone else there that is interesting?
I would say probably what comes to mind is Wandering Minds Spirits. It's the guy's name is Justin. He actually started talking with me early on to get some advice on how to work as a contract client, and I helped him out a little bit, kind of some very light consulting. He had it mostly figured out, but he's now making a hibiscus liqueur that's based off of a product in Mexico, Jamaica. Looks like Jamaica, but it's pronounced differently, and it's delicious. And he's got a barrel aged version of that he's done with Dancing Goat, and that's really neat. And he and I are working on a collaboration right now, and that's where I'm kind of leading into with this. Is it's a cocktail. He's a bar manager full time, and it's a cocktail that's he made that was ginger and wasabi and honeydew. And so we're working on a collaboration that's a cream liqueur based off of that same cocktail. So it's my honeydew flavor, my ginger flavor, and some actual wasabi. And it's I know it sounds weird, but with the right touch of wasabi, it's incredible. And it's things like that just shock your palate in a great way that really get me excited. It's just like, I've never tried anything like this, and it's incredible. And where can I buy it? And that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is figure out how to create those experiences. It was really cool to get the Innovation Award for our Dreamsicle Cream Liqueur this year. And I thought, how has nobody done a good Dreamsicle Cream Liqueur? But there isn't. It's not out there.
I agree completely, because I'm a sucker for that, and
I know.
Yeah, it'll just put you in the right spot, and
yeah, it does.
To the point where you need to watch yourself again. Like,
you do.
It's like I ate 3 Dreamsicles just now.
It's a thing. It can happen. It's dangerous. But I'm excited to be out here, having a chance to share everything and just kind of move this towards an actual potential career instead of just a hobby. And I enjoy it so much more. I do enjoy my job, don't get me wrong, but this is a blast. Sharing creations like this with people and seeing the reaction, good or bad, is just so satisfying and so enjoyable. And I know I'm in the right spot for what I'm good at, and we're only getting better at it as we go. So I'm really excited about what the future brings now that we're in our own space. We've got a little bit more time and a little bit more creative control. So good, big things coming.
And that's exactly what we're excited about. So when you do open up to the public, or people can wander in, let us know.
Yes, I absolutely will.
Might have people nosing at the door.
Yeah, we'll have throw a food cart out there and have some good times with maybe a band or something. We'll see what we can throw together.
It's excellent. But thank you for producing some really unique spirits as far in the spirits world and categories. Like you said, we usually focus on other stuff, but this is why we like kind of branching off every now and then, because there's something that twists your head away from what you typically look at, and you're like,
right,
damn, I need to clear shelf space. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. I really do. It means a lot. You know, I know you guys you taste a lot of things, and it's. I really happy to hear that you're enjoying the products as much as you are. And
Yeah.
thanks for inviting me on to talk a little bit about what we're doing and kind of what's next and how we got here. It's been really fun.
No, yeah. Oh, yeah. We are kind of nerds here, so I mean, it's like flavor science. That's exactly it. Like, part of me, like, as you were going, was like, how down the rabbit hole did we go? Like, no, let's stay where we're at.
That's fair enough. Another time.
Yeah, exactly. But thank you, Dave, for being here. Thank you, everyone in the chat, for coming out. Make sure to tell people about it, especially if you're in Wisconsin and it is something you can easily attain. And like we already gave you other websites where you can hop on Natural Spirits and Spirits and Spice and grab a hold of it yourself. Just remember, it's not the size of the den that matters. It's the love of whiskey or liqueurs right now. That's true.
Yeah.
Have a good night. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you. Cheers.